John, the president said that if Iran or its proxies attacked U.S. troops, that we would respond. So what is he waiting for exactly?
He did say that.
Where's the response?
He said that. And he said that we will...
Repeating the warning is the response?
Jackie, come on now.
It's not his question.
I'm not going to telegraph punches here from the podium. We have responded and retaliated in the past, quite aggressively, in fact, back in March. And as the president said, we will not hesitate to protect our troops and our facilities, but we're going to do it at a time of our choosing, in a manner of our choosing. And the decision to do it, if we do it, is his as commander-in-chief and his alone.
Earlier today, rumors started spreading that U.S. soldiers have landed in Israel. And even Israeli military officials were posting about this on social media. Now, they have since deleted their post, and now everyone's saying it's not true. Don't worry, no U.S. troops have arrived, but I don't know what to believe anymore. I find it weird that these rumors started spreading just as the Pentagon announced that we're sending 900 more troops to the Middle East, some of which we have already sent. The others we're in the process of sending as we speak. 900 more troops. Now, remember, I already told you all about the other troops that we were sending. Now, 900 more troops being sent to the Middle East, but they're claiming that they're not being sent to Israel. And maybe I believe them. I don't know. I feel like we have, valid reasons to send soldiers to Syria and Iraq right now, especially with what's been happening over the past couple of days. But here is what was announced. Roughly 900 U.S. troops have been deployed or are deploying to the Middle East amid heightened tensions in the region after a series of attacks on coalition bases that resulted in minor injuries for almost 24 troops. These include forces that have been on prepare to deploy orders and which are deploying from the continental United States, Pentagon spokesman Brig General Pat Ryder said on Thursday. Deployed and deploying units include a terminal high-altitude area defense battery from Fort Bliss, Texas, Patriot batteries from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Patriot and Avenger batteries from Fort Liberty, North Carolina, and Associated Air Defense Headquarters elements from Fort Bliss and Fort Cavavos, Texas. Ryder added that the deploying units would not be going to Israel and are intended to support regional deterrence efforts and further bolster U.S. forces' protection capabilities. Now, like I said, I don't know what to believe. I find it interesting that we're getting this information about all of these troops that we're sending over there. And as this information is coming in, Israeli officials are, posting on social media that U.S. troops have just arrived, and then they quickly delete it. So I think there's a big possibility that U.S. troops did arrive, but the U.S. doesn't want anyone knowing that. But at the same time, like I said, there's valid reasons for them to be, deploying these troops in other areas in the Middle East because things are happening. Things that even I don't know of. Things that they will never admit. And I don't trust the numbers. I don't trust the number of soldiers that they're so-called sending over there. I believe we're probably sending more. I don't believe, them when they say that only 24 soldiers were injured. Because I'm hearing that there were more. And I'm hearing that some of the injuries were serious. So I don't believe any of the numbers right now. I don't think they're being honest about the numbers at all. I mean, it took them like 2 weeks to finally confirm that U.S. bases have been under attack in Syria and Iraq. I was reporting that to you all for over a week before the Pentagon officially confirmed it. And I can tell you right now, they claimed that only 24 soldiers were injured. There's more than that were injured. I can tell you that right now. And they're acting as if no one was hurt seriously, but I'm hearing some of them have severe head trauma. So I don't know exactly what to believe, but I know that we're getting information out of these areas quicker than what they're officially releasing. And the information they're officially releasing, I mean, this is sensitive stuff. I get it. We're in a time of war, so they're going to take their time to do things. But keep in mind, when they confirm attacks, those are just the attacks that they're willing to confirm. There's other things happening over in the Middle East that you're never going to hear about, because we're not even supposed to be in some of the places where our personnel are getting attacked. There's a lot going on. But just today alone, armed factions in Iraq targeted American troops at the Ain al-Assad base with drones. Also, 5 missiles were launched targeting an American base in Syria. So, I mean, right now, American soldiers in other countries are under more attacks than Israeli soldiers in Israel. How does that work? How does that work? And what's crazy is we're sending all of this equipment to defend Israel, yet our soldiers in Syria and Iraq, they don't have the same equipment to shoot down these drones and missiles. I mean, luckily they've, been successful so far. But if they were to ramp up these attacks, I don't know what would happen. I honestly don't. And I mean, we are on the edge of no freaking return at this point. But also, there's new factions popping up. The Islamic resistance in Iraq released this statement earlier. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Permission has been given to those who fight, because they have been wronged, and indeed, God is able to grant them victory. Believe God Almighty. The Mujahideen, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to pronounce all these words, of the Islamic resistance in Iraq targeted the American occupation base adjacent to Erbil Airport with 2 drones, which directly hit their targets. Now you see, these terrorist organizations, they always claim, our drones, our missiles, they're hitting their targets. Now, America is reporting otherwise. So, who are you going to believe? The truth always the truth always falls somewhere in the middle, if you ask me. But now, as I was reporting to you all yesterday and the day before, there are little militias and factions crawling out of the woodwork. I cannot keep up with all of them. I can't pronounce half of their names, I'll be honest with you all. But I mean, dozens of little groups, little militias, little terrorist groups, whatever you want to call them. They're popping up all over the Middle East. There's like a half a dozen of them in Iraq, and all of them are basically saying the same thing, that they're all getting ready for this big war. Some of them are calling it the war for Jerusalem. Everyone's got different rhetoric. Everyone's got, a few different things to say, but all of them are basically saying, this is it. This is what we've been preparing for our entire lives. Israel is going down. They all have that in common. We're taking Israel down, basically. Here's one of the statements that was put out. Once again, the Iraqi people affirm that they are at the forefront of free peoples who believe in the right of the Palestinian people to defend themselves through demonstrations and events that took place since the beginning of the Al-Aqsa flood. Yes, the people who support Palestine and its sanctities. In this regard, we point out the following. First, the Hezbollah brigades have the ability to fight enemies and torture them, relying on one's own capabilities for resistance. Second, we are ready for a war of attrition against the enemy that will extend for years, and we are faithful with victory, God willing. Third, the escalation against the enemy will be gradual and will take up a wider area and stronger blows. Fourth, the enemies must stop killing innocent people in Gaza and lift the siege imposed on them, and abandon the slogan of displacement. Peace upon the righteous servants of God. So that was another group that's not Hezbollah, but it's a group that's kind of aligned with Hezbollah. All of these groups are supposedly, allegedly funded and ran by Iran. They're like these little proxy militias. And I've talked about proxies in the past. If you think that the U.S. doesn't have proxies, you're wrong. They use these proxies to fight wars that they don't want to necessarily get involved in directly, okay? What's happening in Ukraine right now, in my opinion, is kind of like a proxy war between America and Russia. Now, Russia is directly involved, but the U.S. is pretending not to be involved while funding the entire war, allowing the Ukrainians to fight it for them. So this is kind of the same thing. Iran will try to sit back and claim like they're not responsible for any of this, when in reality they're funding these various militias across the Middle East that they use to carry out, to do their bidding, basically, if you will. But yeah, folks, if you are holding out any little slice of hope that America wasn't going to get fully involved in this, you can go ahead and throw that right out the window, because it is too late now. Boots are on the ground. As we speak, American boots are on the ground in Israel. And now that we're over there, there's no telling how long we'll be over there. I guarantee you that I'll be sitting here making videos for you in a few years, and we will still be in Israel. And the fight against Hamas will more than likely still be going on. So I don't know where we go from here, but it's obvious that there is no turning back now. And regardless of what this war turns into, the fact that we have U.S. soldiers right there in Israel who are going to be right there on the front lines, because you have to understand, folks, Israel is like the size of New Jersey. I don't care where you're at in Israel, you are on the front lines of this war. People will say, well, they're not technically on the front lines. Israel is so small. These rockets that are flying all over the place can reach any point in Israel. If you are anywhere in Israel, you are on the front lines. And something is bound to happen to one of these soldiers, or some of these soldiers. I mean, I hope that won't be the case. But if it does, then the situation's only going to get worse. And maybe, like I keep saying, maybe that's what the powers that be want. But that's not what I want. And I know that's not what you want. But unfortunately, we don't get what we want. We get to sit here and watch as our world crumbles around us. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, you could drop a super thanks, or you could support my channel for totally free by sharing this video, hitting that like button, subscribing, ringing that notification bell. And as always, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.